Welcome, innovators, business owners, entrepreneurs, technology experts, academia, government R&D communities, and members of the North Carolina innovation ecosystem. This is Defense Technology Talks, hosted by the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office, or NC DefTech. This podcast will showcase various technologies with local and national experts who aim to solve complex national security problems. In the coming weeks, we will highlight North Carolinians with the potential to, or those that have positively contributed to enhancing the capabilities of our warfighters, law enforcement, and first responders. We will also feature government leaders in research and development who have helped shape the future in this domain. These podcasts are just one of the many free services provided by the North Carolina government to assist the North Carolina innovation ecosystem to thrive and provide solutions to our nation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob Robinson with the Defense Technology Transition Office. I have Angel Brown here today. We are at the summit. First day. Not a whole lot going on, but enough to have a conversation. So the first thing that we're going to do is ask you about your background. Tell us about yourself and your company, and then we'll go from there. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Wilmington is beautiful, and I'm excited to be here today. I have been in public safety and military sales for the past 20 years. I've worked for large distributors and manufacturers, and during COVID, I decided to start my own company. I was living originally from Kentucky, lived in Rhode Island for 15 years, and decided to sell my house and basically put my finger on a map and said I'm going to move down by a military installation and start my own company and do it myself. So I did that, and I started Angel's Arsenal, and I'm all set up. But I'm very in one lane, and it's breaching tools and maybe a couple things that encompass that world. But I'm staying very niche-y, and I'm just trying to find out what it is that our public safety and warfighters need and build from that.
Yeah, well, I can tell you from my experience, breaching tools are very, very important. After numerous years in Iraq and Afghanistan, being able to enter a building and clear a room, and one of the main parts of that is the breach. And sometimes, an explosive breach does not work. And so you have to use different types of tools, and there's TTPs or tactics, techniques, and procedures that go with that. But definitely something that we all have to consider. And particularly now that warfare is evolving, if we start looking at, transnational terrorism, that was pretty easy because we got 20 years of experience doing it. But when it comes down to dealing with, larger nation states with infrastructure and, rules for building buildings, then it actually changes the calculus on how I'm going to get through that door. So that's very, very important. So what brings you to the summit today?
Well, I live in close proximity, and it was nearby, and it was free, so I decided to show up and at least put some faces with some names. I've been working or attending a lot of the seminars and coffee talks for the North Carolina Military Business Center. What a tremendous resource it is for the state of North Carolina. And as a resident and someone who has started a business in this state, I'm wanting to give back to and support the economy of this state. So I'm hoping, as the director of management for Kodiak Tacticals, which is our breaching equipment, I'm looking to move the manufacturing to this state in order to offset my woman-owned small business status as well.
Nice. And again, your tax dollars at work. This podcast is part of it. But one of the things that we always try and approach is trying to help founders find their niche. Sounds like you have your niche, but now it's how do you connect with, some customer discovery, build out your customer base, build out your client base, and grow your business. And that's one of the things that's always very, very important here in the state of North Carolina, because we want your dollars, as tax revenue, but we also want to satisfy the requirements that the warfighters need. And sometimes, I've seen this in the time that I've been retired, is that oftentimes the warfighter doesn't know what they need because they don't have the time to stop and look for what they're looking for. So obviously the government problem that you're trying to solve is breaching tools. Do you have a dual purpose to your technology? Are you trying to get it into other markets? Or you're looking at DHS or law enforcement, or is it just strictly DoD?
Nope. It's broad in the fact that it will be across all branches of military. We do have a foothold in law enforcement, fire, corrections, all public safety, first responders, and then there, in light of today's world events. There's security departments through corporations that will need to have access to gain entry to buildings or to get people out if they're chained up, or bolt cutters, pry bars, window, just all that kind of stuff.
And those tools are very, very important. And of course, when you don't have them, you need them.
Correct.
And that's
you don't think about them until you need them.
Yeah, and that's one of those things like, hey, look, if this is something that I could put in a go bag or create a kit that works for whatever my organization is, perfect.
Exactly.
So the other question that I would ask of you is do you feel as if that there's a difference here in North Carolina as far as support-wise versus where you came from and starting your own company? Because, again, one of the difficulties that everybody has, and I'm asking this from a person who started as, who wants to start a business and they're afraid to pull the trigger because they're just not sure about the current environment. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Well, it's a seasoned event, too, so you get to a certain point in your life and I'm stubborn, so I just want to do it for myself. If I want it done right, I'll do it myself, and I want it done quickly, so I do it myself. Typical mom, I think, factor. But I am from Kentucky, so I grew up in the South. Like I said, I moved to the Northeast for 15 years. That's a completely different environment in a lot of ways. And when I decided to be finished there, I would definitely wanted to move back south where the people in the tea are sweet. And then I was introduced to the North Carolina Military Business Center, and from the get-go, it's been so welcoming, so supportive, and the follow-up, just the general interest has been phenomenal. I don't even know how to compare it to anything else, but God put me in that spot, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of passion in this state, and I think that's one of the things that shows, because we do have a military business center, and particularly the Defense Technology Transition Office, because we're trying to help you get into the DoD, and that's one of the things that is missed. And there's so many. We have people out of the state that come to our coffee calls and come to our meetings to get information because we provide so much rich content. And so, we can pat ourselves on the back, but the thing is not to rest on our laurels and to continue to produce for our customers. And that's everybody that is willing to take a little bit of their time and sign up, for the community. Last question that I ask, and then we'll get you out of here, is where can we find your information? Where are you located? Websites?
I'm on Facebook. It's all under angelsarsenal.com. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And my name is Angel Brown, and it's under the president. And I'm sure if you're in this community, I'm very well connected, so you can probably find me first or second. And my website is angelsarsenal.com. There's an angelsarsenalwv.com, and I'm so new that you have to scroll down the Google lane to find me. But but once you get to me, you can. My phone number is 401-477-0853. You can call me or text me, and I'll be happy to shoot you a link that way as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very, very much for coming on. Super, super easy. I told you it would be.
Thank you.
And again, this is Rob Robinson from the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob Robinson with the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office. I have Jon Barker here from PTW Solutions, but I will pause there. Jon, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and then we will talk about why you're here at the summit today. Thanks.
Awesome. Rob, well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for seeking me out with Bob's assistance. So I'm Jon Barker, the founder of PTW Solutions. I'm a DC native, and I was born and raised inside the Beltway. I grew up in the trenches of government contracting, started off as a project controller, switched over to contract administration, and did that for about 2 decades before founding my own company. PTW Solutions stands for Price to Win Solutions, but as I moved to the beach here in Wilmington, North Carolina, I've kind of broadened my perspective, and PTW now kind of stands for Plan, Position, and Price to Win now.
Nice. And that's good. That's good to hear. And so, obviously, you do something in the government contracting space based off of what you just mentioned. And we talked about this beforehand. So you help people figure out what they need to find in order to win the contract. And that's one of the things that Bob and I talk about this all the time. It's a very significant emotional event, and you can have a full-time person that looks for opportunities, but deconstructing those opportunities and making them useful is something, sounds like that you have found your way into helping people do that. So could you expound on that if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So the government is this vast labyrinth spending trillions of dollars a year, and they buy literally anything you can think of. There's a lady that I spar with or joke with in LinkedIn, and we always kind of will pick the most random opportunity. And the one I had was, the Womack Medical Center was buying cadavers. And I'm like, where do you come up with a supplier of cadavers? Interesting. And then on the same side, she found out where they're buying belly dancers. So the government will buy every single thing you can think of. So I am kind of a hunter. I look for business owners that have a very unique selling proposition, a unique capability or skill, and I try to find them government clients to do business with. Locating the target agencies, but also kind of figuring out and extracting the value of what they do. Like, why does the government need that? What kind of problem does it solve for the government? And align them with the proper agencies and the contracting offices.
Yeah, and it all starts with the requirement, and that's what I heard in that speech, is understanding what the requirement is, whether it be cadavers or belly dancers, or it could be, hey, I need to be able to do PFAS removal or cybersecurity or, artificial intelligence or app writing or whatever it is. Being able to understand those problem sets are huge, and having somebody that can assist you through the process with the government is very, very monolithic. There's a lot of pitfalls, and there's a lot of people out there that will gladly take your money and not give you much of a result. So Jon is he's one of the good guys, and so he's not going to take more than he has to, but he's running a business, but he's also going to protect your client information and give you the best opportunity.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Rob, I mean, we're all taxpayers, right? So it's in all of our best interest to make sure the government's getting best value from their suppliers, right? So, we're in this to win this, right? We're in this for the long term. So I'm looking for, companies that have a unique technical expertise and align them with the proper government opportunities so they can make some money and the government gets a good value in return for our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, and that's huge. So we know why you came to the summit. Last question is, where can we find information about your company?
Well, I'm big on LinkedIn. I have a website, pricetowinsolutions.com. I'm still kind of working on that. And my big aspiration is a SaaS product, creating a price estimating tool using publicly available data such as Census, IRS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then also over time blending in a lot of the market current opportunities from SAM.gov and USA Spending for the spending analysis.
No, that sounds like a heavy lift, and I know that it is, but it's definitely going to be valuable. And again, it's always nice to have somebody in your corner that genuinely cares about you and is also in the state. And of course, if he's in Wilmington, you might want to come visit his office because it's a beautiful place down here. It's always gorgeous to come down to the summit and having the opportunity to meet new people, network, and grow your business. Because again, you can win on your own, but sometimes it takes a team. And if you don't know whether or not you need a team or not, it's best to ask around before. Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
So, don't be afraid to ask questions, humble yourself, because it's better doing that now than thinking that you know it all, because the government contracting is so big and vast that it's constantly changing and evolving. So seek out a good team around you in order to maximize your success.
Yeah. Do not make a tens of $1,000s mistake where it could potentially cost you your company. And that's one of the things that striking that happy balance. There's going to be expenditures that you need to grow your business. It takes money to make money, and we will end it there. Jon, I really appreciate you coming on today. This has been great. Super quick segment, but looking forward to talking to you more about your company and how we can help find people in the space that need your assistance. But thanks, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Defense Technology Talks, hosted by the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office, or DefTech. The views expressed in this broadcast are solely those of the individual contributors. As indicated, DefTech does not take responsibility for those statements or opinions and accepts no responsibility or liability for any inaccuracy or omissions reported during this program. The content and interviews are fair use for instructional purposes and to build awareness for the North Carolina innovation ecosystem. The full version of this presentation has been uploaded to our Mobilize platform. Mobilize is just another free service provided to you to access more national security and business collaboration opportunities. You can sign up for more information at deftech.nc.gov. Join us soon for the next podcast coming to a platform near you. DefTech is a subsidiary of the North Carolina Military Business Center and receives its support from Fayetteville Technical Community College.